Hello and welcome to Mindshifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is a Monday. Today is Monday, November 15th, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. These tools are available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that webpage and click on the Start Here link in the upper left-hand corner, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of that book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool I've been using to great effect for over 17 years to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships and turn any negative emotional experiences I have into part of the infallible guidance system that every one of us has been gifted. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file. Click it, download it, print it off, copy it, and use it as often as you'd like, absolutely free. You can also go to your app store and type in the 3 words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness and get access to a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. You can also download a whole host of audio files of shows just like this one, where people have either been stepped through the use of that tool or talked about the exceedingly positive benefits of employing that tool in their lives. And we hope people do that soon and often. All of those things, read that chapter of that book and check out the worksheet for yourself and download the app for your phone, so wherever you are, even in the middle of the night, you can effortlessly get access to the app, because that frequently generates comments and questions, and if you've got any of those, give us a call at 563-999-3581, or you can send us an email, tjh@mindshifters-academy.org. You can also go to send Jeannie an email at jeanie@whyagain.org. That's whyagain.org. We're also doing the Course in Miracles workbook lessons this year. Today is the 319th day of the year. And the lesson today simply reads, I came for the salvation of the world. The commentary reads, here is a thought from which all arrogance has been removed and only truth remains. So this is not an egoic trip that someone's going on. It says, for arrogance is in opposition of truth. But when there is no arrogance, the truth will come immediately and fill up the space that the ego left unoccupied by lies. So when the ego is not filling you full of lies, the truth steps in. Only the ego can be limited, and therefore it must seek for aims which are curtailed and limiting. The ego thinks that what one gains, another must totally lose. And yet, this is the will of the Creator, and I learned that what one gains is given to all. We are all connected. in other words. Creator, your will is total, and the goal which stems from it shares that totality. What aim except the salvation of the world could you have given your offspring? And what but this could be the will that my true self has shared and shares with you? So Pam Grout has a book titled The Course in Miracles Experiment, and her lesson 319 reads, is titled Anatomy of a Guilt Trip. She quotes Captain Jack Sparrow from the movies of Pirates of the Caribbean as saying, the problem is not the problem. The problem is your attitude towards the problem. Pam writes, my dysfunction of choice has always been guilt. Maybe you've been on the same hamster wheel, the one where you obsessively worry about all the things you could have, should have, why didn't I, etc. I wrongly believed that if I beat myself up, I would become a better person. If I listed my faults and came up with a plan to improve them, I would finally get the guy, or get the financial situation, or get the whatever you want, fill in the blank, that I so desired. What I finally came to realize is guilt and all of its mean girl cousins is a deterrent to miracles. Each question of, why didn't I do this, only made the wall between me and my highest good more impenetrable. As I began to dismantle each shaming thought to take my focus off the facts of my pitiful existence, a higher truth began trickling in. I am okay just the way I am. Every wrinkle on my 60-something face, every age spot, every time I felt wronged or angry or acted less than the perfect human being I aspired to be, that's all okay. Self-love isn't about getting a massage every other week or treating myself to a bubble bath, although they're nice gifts and are never discouraged. Self-love is about accepting myself exactly as I am, warts and all. Guilt is as foolhardy as any military strategic defense initiative. The only thing it deters is the always flowing stream of eternal good. So that's our Course in Miracles workbook lesson and our Course in Miracles experiment commentary from Pam Grout. And we have, as usual, about 50 minutes to explore your comments, your questions, your suggestions. 563-999-3581. Call that number and press 1, and we can have a conversation. What's on your mind? What was keeping you occupied this weekend? How can we support you? What would be of benefit for you to have us step through? Whether it's a worksheet process or a question about the process. I had some time this morning, and I was listening to the book by Pema Chodron titled When Things Fall Apart. And Pema is she's a Buddhist, and she's talking about bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is that pure loving heart center. And I was just amazed the more I listened to how exactly like our true nature, that you're made of this stuff we call love, etc., that we talk about so often in the Mind Shifters support groups and here on Mind Shifter Radio. And she's describing the bodhicitta as that part of you that no matter what you've been through is this pure loving heart center. And it never gets chipped, faded, rusted, dented, broken in any way. It's always the same as it was at your inception, at your creation. And it's accessible in any moment. It's your true nature. It's the root of your being. And if you just step into its awareness, the full benefits of tapping into that become yours. They talk about a process of breathing in your own pain and the pain of anyone else on the in-breath, and on the out-breath, breathing out the love and the joy and the happiness. And it's essentially that kind of a modification of the two-prong approach that I discuss in this work, which is, on the one hand, I want to remember my true nature and focus on the miracle of life expressing through me, as me, in the moment. And whenever I can't do that, whenever something negative arises in my mind, I want to step into the use of a tool. I want to remember that core of my being is solid, is shiny, is radiant, is as pure as it was when it was created. And when my mind, or the ego part of my life force, starts telling me something less than that, I want to take action to identify what is that off-the-mark process in my thoughts, and what I want to explore what one of the many tools that are available on the planet right now might do to benefit me, whether it's Ho'oponopono or the Sedona release method or Byron Katie's work or Michael Rice's worksheet process or the targeted journaling that he calls the Mind Shifter tool. I want to start exploring the benefits of applying those tools anytime my mind is showing me something that's less than love, less than my true nature, less than the radiant, loving nature of the bodhicitta, that effervescent core heart, loving heart space that we all have access to, that is our true nature. So, how do I become aware of that? What do I do when what's filling my mind is something other than the awareness of that true nature as love? Well, one exercise says I can simply start breathing in the pain of the world and breathing out the relief, the joy, the eternal love. And what they say is that when we step into doing this, what we experience is an ever-expanding capacity for tolerating the discomfort, and an ever-expanding capacity for extending that loving energy. There's a story of a woman who was having a very painful, severe, chronic, or what you call fatal illness, and her suffering increased and increased and increased until at one point she just began to tap into the suffering of people all around the world, whether it was an infant that was abandoned or someone in a state of conflict because of a war in their country. And her compassion expanded exponentially beyond words at the height of her own personal suffering. that's an example of, as they talk about in this work, that's an example of the bodhicitta awakening in her. Her awareness in her true eternal nature and her expansive ability to contain the suffering and extend the loving energy. It's not something I can do with my conscious logical mind, but I could step into the use of a tool like breathing in the suffering and breathing out the joy, the healing, the love. So, our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. What has been your joy? What has been your struggle over the past few days? Welcome, Susan.
Hi, Dr. Tim. I've been reading this book about and possibly by, I'm going to go get it and see whether she's, yeah, she is. No, she isn't. No, wait a minute. I've got two books in front of me. The Woman Who Changed Her Brain, Barbara Arrowsmith Young. I mentioned her, I think, more than once on the show, right? She's the woman who was born with tremendous disabilities and found a way to train her brain to be more normal. And she talks about education and our educational system and how we have been telling children with dyslexia, for instance, or learning disabilities, that that's the way they're wired and they're going to be that way for the rest of their life, and the best you can do is a good workaround. She says that's just not true, and it's done a lot of damage. But she created a lot of exercises, sort of like worksheets or tools. She created them for herself and changed her brain. Now, I'm not far enough into the book to find out whether she actually tells what these exercises were, and I was wondering if you knew anything about her work or about her.
Can you say the name again? What's her name?
Sorry, Barbara Arrowsmith Young. Maybe you didn't mention her. Somebody else might have. And
it's Arrowsmith?
Arrow, like a bow and arrow. Arrowsmith, all one word, Young.
Yes, this is not something that's been familiar to me, so.
Oh, okay. I thought it was. Sorry, Dr. Tim. I'm curious. I'll read more and maybe tell you more when I do.
She's got a school in Canada?
Yeah, she has
in Toronto?
Mm-hmm. Where she works with kids with disabilities of all kinds, and there's a YouTube TED Talk she gives, and she seems perfectly normal. When you read about her childhood, it's astounding that she has learned to train her brain into being able to understand text, put sentences. She couldn't even tell time. She couldn't make sense, for instance, of the small hand or the large hand of a clock and what relationship they had with one another and what they meant. But she had a ton of other things that she just couldn't do. And this book, I really shouldn't have called you about it because I thought you had mentioned it, and I apologize. The subtitle of the book is How I Left My Learning Disability Behind and Other Stories of Cognitive Transformation. You're talking about Pema Chodron, and all of the work is about transforming our mind. And so I figure what we're doing is we are rewiring our brains, however slowly. And it sounds as if she did this just to be able to function in a way that most for granted. But anyway, sorry, I kind of got you off the subject of PEMA.
That's
coding.
quite all right. It's always nice to see or find out about a new resource, and I'll check into it.
Very
it seems
interesting. Yeah.
It seems very much like the work of the gentleman who's got the Zing Performance work out of England, where you do specific exercises twice a day to change or to stimulate the stem cell growth in your cerebellum. And as the cerebellum increases in its functioning, lots and lots of stuff gets easier and functions better in your life, not just your physical, moving the body around or physical coordination, but everything about what your brain does that might use any kind of an automatic processing, whether it's riding a bike or throwing a ball or reading. And with the actual exercising, the brain capacity increases. So I will check into it. It might be another way to do certain exercises that improve the brain functioning.
And that's what we're trying to do anyway, but with upset and reactions and the way we see the world. But those are all probably just on a different plane. These guys are talking about changing physical things or manifesting abilities where they had none before. But we're all trying to do that. So I was very interested in how she did this, because I bet we're already doing it, but maybe we could be more efficient even. I should say I. Yeah. I did a still point breathing session with Michael the other day, Saturday, 2 days ago.
On Saturday?
And had a
How did it
there
go?
were very few of us on. For me, not well. For Tim Bingham, he found it very calming and good. And I don't know whether it's resistance or it's just not my thing or whatever it is, but I was honest with Michael and said, this is very hard. I'm lying there on my back with my mouth open, thinking it's an effort to keep my mouth open. It's not natural, so I have to think about it, and we're supposed to shut off the brain. Well, I'm thinking about keeping my mouth open and realizing I want to swallow, so I swallow, and I know I'm not supposed to. I mean, this is a vehicle for discovering every piece of garbage in my system, right there, just trying to do that. So I told him all about it, and he said, well, considering your past and considering this and that and the other, maybe there's some resistance here and maybe there's a problem. And he gave me a wonderful mind shifter, which is I can peacefully and sweetly do still point breathing, even though I want to swallow and have post-nasal drip and all kinds of other things. Well, that's a good mind shifter. But where was I going with this? I was connecting it up somewhere, but I lost my train of thought. Have you done still point breathing, Dr. Tim?
Yes, a number of times.
And it goes okay for you? Yes,
it's a wonderful tool for those of us who feel comfortable with it. It's the one tool that until coronavirus, Michael did not teach or make available for free because he was convinced that people had to be in his physical presence when they learn it because the tool is so powerful. What if something goes wrong? What if they tap into stuff they're not used to, etc.? So now with the coronavirus restrictions and all of the changes he's making in his efforts to make a living in a different way, it's working. And so he can offer it online through the Zoom. And so, that's an option for some people. But again, every one of us is going to have our own stuff that comes up that will, at one level or another, block us from making the growth, the change, the learning that we say we want to do. And the fact that you've got that happening is no different than dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of other people who've been through intensives at Heartland or wherever they were holding them. I remember attending several different events at Heartland, and we do the still point breathing work, and it was common for people to be wailing and screaming in pain and clenching their teeth and saying, "I can't do this," and breathing erratically, and that was a common occurrence. So you're not alone saying, "I'm experiencing that my body and my mind won't let me do this."
Well,
so it's
nice
a good
to
option to explore, like we were talking about a few times before recently, explore your resistance. And one good way to explore your resistance is with a mind shifter, the targeted journaling.
Right. Right. Oh, there's a ton of stuff that comes up. It's all old garbage. Like she was telling one of the members how well she was breathing and how she'd made tremendous progress, and I'm lying there thinking, screw this. I wanted to say something nice about my breathing. I mean, come on. It's like I'm a little kid again competing with siblings. Oh, it was a very sobering experience, to say the least. And my cat again.
Yeah, and the question for you, as for all of us, is, can I see that happening in my mind, in my thought process, and be gentle with myself?
Mm-hmm.
Can I see it and just say, "Oh, look, there's the ego.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's the old stuff." Can I be gentle with myself as I notice that I'm not living up to the ideals that I have aspired to? Because if I can't be gentle with myself in that process, I can't move forward.
Right. Right. I was having
I'll be stuck
like
there because it's literally the ego that is beating me up.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's the ego that I say I hate, and I don't want. I want to be more magnanimous. I want to be more spiritually advanced, etc. I say all of that, and yet when I'm beating myself up, I'm letting the ego drive the bus.
It sure is. Well, it was very nice to have that mind shifter because I realized I can do just about anything on that mattress. I can do the best I can, and that's good enough, and whatever it is what it is. But the thought came to me that if you can't do this, there better be another way for you to get to enlightenment, because if there isn't, you're in bad trouble. Stuff like that.
Well, that's not being very gentle with yourself, is it?
No. No. I'm very curious about the physiology. I read about still point and asked Michael some questions. One thing he says is if you're breathing through the mouth, your brain doesn't get as much oxygen, so you're not going to be thinking as much. And I thought, I don't know if I want to deprive my brain of oxygen. I think that sounds kind of scary, like brain cells are already blinking out all on their own. I don't want any more blinking out. I mean, there's just so many scary, miserable thoughts.
Right, yeah. You're really given those favorite miserable thoughts a workout.
I know. And so what did I do, though, Dr. Tim? I signed up for the next one, or I'm signing up for the next one. They do them once a month on Saturdays with follow-ups during the week, and he's actually switching the follow-ups to accommodate Tim and me. I have a conflict on Wednesday nights, and there are so few of us that he's sending around a notice asking if Tuesday night would be all right, which would be really good. So somehow, I guess I'm in for the long haul. But it's funny, still point, Michael invented or discovered still point breathing, I thought, and yet I do find it on the internet, not under his name, just as a general thing that's sort of known. So, do you know anything about that?
About whether or not he discovered it?
Yeah, and it's his thing. Early on at one point he said, please don't share this information because this is like copyrighted material. Only he didn't say that. It was something else. And maybe what you just said is right, that he wants people to be supervised, sort of like using psychedelics. You should, if you're going to do it, you better do it under the supervision of someone who makes sure you have good stuff and you have the right amount and you're attended to carefully throughout your trip. Maybe that's what he meant.
That's an interesting analogy. Yes, it's probably true. Not to equate still point breathing with the ingesting of psychedelics, but yeah, it's probably true.
Mhm. Well, evidently it's very powerful if you do it right.
Well, Michael's theory about it is that when you are doing it and you go into still point, you're clearing out a tremendous amount of energy in a very short period of time. That's his theory. And, of course, most of us are carrying all kinds of energies and traumas, and if we start clearing it out without any good sense of how to experience it, move through it gently, being kind to ourselves, having good support, understanding that it's all going to be fine because it's just energy and it was in us and we were surviving, and as it moves out of us, we'll survive. So there's a lot of that many people who go into and through still point don't have these big traumatic reactions or the big ego fight with it. Many people who do the still point breathing through Michael or wherever they get it, they have a very gentle experience of energy moving and of insights or releases. And yet, there are times where people have, as I was just describing earlier, all kinds of wailing and gnashing of teeth in their efforts to engage that process. I should say, though, that every single time that I've, been to Heartland and been through a still point breathing with somebody, every person that went through that wailing and gnashing of teeth came out on the other side smiling and laughing. So, at least peaceful, if not, joyful. So it's not this deeply traumatic thing that people subject themselves to. For the most part, it's just a relaxing breathing session through the course of which one might release a tremendous amount of energy that hasn't been serving them well.
Well, I guess what you're saying overall is just watch what's happening and be open to the possibility that what I've been thinking about it could be totally wrong, and just be open to a new experience, whatever it is.
Well, so what is it you've been thinking about it?
I don't want to say on the radio show. I have certain ways of judging things, and it's not helpful in some cases. Basically, I thought it might be pure bullshit. And so, I'm fighting against my bullshitometer. is up.
Okay, so in what way might it not be true?
Not good to breathe through your mouth. It dries out your throat. Not good to breathe through your mouth because your brain doesn't get enough oxygen. Not good to breathe through your mouth because, at least when I'm lying down, my mouth automatically is shut. And if I want my brain to turn off, I have to shut my mouth, let my mouth be shut. Otherwise, I'm concentrating on keeping it open. I should stick a piece of wood in there or something to keep it open, propped open. All these rather cantankerous, irritated thoughts about how I can't do it, basically, and it's not good to do. If I could lie there and breathe through my nose and just be peaceful, that would be fantastic. And maybe that's what I'll end up doing, and Michael won't say I did a good job. So what? I'm just dealing with all this ego crap, Dr. Tim. It's like I'm a little kid.
Okay, so the idea of it not being true is really just the idea that you have to do a certain procedure for it to be effective. Is that what you're rebelling against?
You have to do it right. You have to do it right.
Well, essentially, the still point breathing that I was introduced to is about as effortless, and there's as little doing it right as any technique or procedure could have.
And yet you have to breathe through your whole chest, belly, all the way down to the bottom of your torso. And that is something that we don't do. Quiet, Doctor. What's so funny about it?
Well, come on. I'm just chuckling about the intensity with which you're making those statements and the extreme focus on all the way down to and just I would just encourage you to soften a little bit and say, if you did research on every major spiritual tradition, the vast majority of them are going to have breathing techniques as part of their tradition. Breath work, breathing techniques, etc. So if you don't like the one that Michael's got, try the Wim Hof breathing techniques. Try the 4-7-8 that
I like that
Dr.
one.
Andrew, just try that. Do that while you're laying there with your mind shifter stuff in the background or whatever, and watch what happens.
Yeah, I guess it's just that Michael has taught me so much and given us so much, and it's ongoing. It's changed our lives. So then we come up with this, and I think, well, I got to get on board with this, but I'm not on board with it. And I think, what? Am I losing ground? Am I rejecting something really good? It reminds me of a woman, a trans woman who came to Heartland when Tim and I were there 2 years ago. Maybe it was 3. And nothing went right for her. And she was so upset. And we tried to show her that we could connect with her and we're right there with her. But she had so much going on that she left. And midweek, she packed up her car and just drove off. And I feel as if that's just what I'm doing. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dr. Tim.
You're welcome. I have no idea what just happened, but you're welcome.
You listened. Yeah. Yeah, big connection. Yep. Michael's right there. He's right there. What am I doing? Okay. I don't need to waste radio show time on this. Squirrel.
All right. So someone else has raised their hand, and I will turn on the microphone since that's our commitment. Is this Magda?
Yes, indeed. Hi.
Welcome. Long time no hear from you. How are you?
I know. Good. How about you guys? Really good? Fantastic?
Good.
Wonderful?
Good, except for this damn still point breathing thing.
Like a little fly that won't go away, right? Well, that's exactly what I'm calling about. I just want to share a little bit of information. And Susan, I heard you say many, many times in this conversation, I just want to do it right. I need to do it right in order to have the effects. It sounds like I'm summing that up. Would that be correct? Is that how your mind is thinking about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I suggest that you actually did it right because it revealed, your session there revealed so much to you about yourself, about how you get into competitiveness and you want the approval. I relate to this a lot, so I'm not pointing fingers that aren't also directed to me, but wanting the approval of Michael or Jeannie. Yeah, you did a good job. Yeah, and all of those things are wonderful issues to know about and work on in whatever marvelous ways you like to, whether it be another still point, sorry, worksheets, mind shifters. It's just a wealth of goodies to dig into and might be what you need to dig into before you can allow yourself to actually release into the still point process and have a different kind of outcome. So that was one thing. I think you did it perfectly right for you at this time. Another thing I want to share is that when I lived in Asheville, I had already gone to some of Michael's things here in Heartland, and I had learned how to do still point. And so when I heard that someone in Asheville was doing still point breathing, I was very excited about that. Well, it was quite different. There was no education at all about the actually going into still point where your body stops breathing just for a little while. It just feels like it doesn't need to breathe. And so I used to think that was real scary, but it's really quite lovely. And it's a matter of just responding to what your body is telling you. But this particular woman did not teach that. What she taught was to breathe through your mouth. I don't even know if she got into, to use the whole body breathing or what. I don't remember that part. What I do remember is that it brought up a lot of emotions for myself and many, many, many other people. And so there was a lot of screaming and yelling and crying. I don't know if there was any resolution. It seems to me as I look back on it that that people were encouraged to get into their emotional junk and just kind of got stuck there, which I understand is one of the reasons Michael says, if you start crying, that's okay if you can cry and breathe at the same time. But if you're going to choose one or the other, choose the breathing, because that is what will take your being into still point. Well, there is one other thing I want to share with you. The first time I did still point, I was already in a very heart-centered space, and I need to get back. I want to get back to that. I'm not quite in that same space now. But I believe that because I was already very connected to my heart and the love that is source. When I did my still point, I had some very moving visuals that came up. And it turns out that as we shared later on, my visuals were the same as two other people in the group, that we had met at the same hilltop and the same activities had happened and so forth. And so there was quite a spiritual alignment there. However, now when I do still point, I just have quiet. And, well, I guess I went through a period where I had a lot of rushing scenes that I couldn't even, they weren't around long enough for me to be able to grasp them well enough to describe. They were just little birding images, blump, 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 into the next one. And now my most recent still points, it's really been just peaceful, calm, and joyful. So,
do you do still point on a regular basis, Magda?
I do not. No, I feel I have problems too with allowing my mouth to be open and get dry and all of that stuff. So I do not gravitate toward it. That's why I feel best when I have the guidance. And I need to sign up for the next one, I believe. We missed this one. Yeah. So anyhow,
Michael talks about doing it when he's walking, and I've been doing it when I walk for a long time. I mean, he said that ages ago.
Yeah.
But I just picture it as being deep breathing through the mouth. But when I'm walking, the mouth thing isn't so much of a problem. I don't know why. Maybe just a lot of things are flowing easily, but I'd like to think this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to think that the same benefits are available there that they are lying down. Anyway, I don't need to even talk about all this because there are lots of worksheets that need to be done over this. It's just like a glimpse back into my childhood with my siblings and wanting to be the best one or at least good enough. You know.
Yeah, which is
and that's
great,
not new for humanity.
But that's great knowledge for you, and so I congratulate you. And I also want to cheer you on once again for your absolute honesty. I so prize that in your conversations with Dr. Tim, because you present quite a wonderful model for myself and perhaps other people.
Oh, well, that's really nice of you to say.
Well,
yeah.
Nice
well,
thanks. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for me, and I'll just listen to you guys.
Thanks, Magda.
You're welcome. Thank you for being there.
Thank you, Magda. And I agree with what you're saying, that this is a very useful endeavor for Susan, even though she struggles with it. It's a lot of good stuff to become aware of. And as we talk about here so often, if I'm not aware of it, I can't change it. I can't work with it.
Mm-hmm. So true.
So this, the willingness to get engaged in this process, to sit on that Zoom call, to be honest about how it is or isn't working for you, all of these are the steps that demonstrate your willingness that is so important to, growing, getting movement.
Yes, and I would add that probably if you, when or if you report during the sharing time, that just wasn't very good for me. I had this and this and this going on, and I don't like it at all, whatever it is, that other people will provide the key for others to be as honest with themselves and perhaps with the whole group. So that's great. I urge you to continue. Yeah.
Well,
anything else?
Good, thanks.
No, that's it. Have a happy
right.
day, you guys.
All right. Thanks, Magda. Thanks for the input.
Thanks, Magda.
Blessings. So, Susan, it's a wonderful potential for you to reframe, because you've labeled it as a failure, and yet the actuality of it is it's a tremendous success to become aware, even though you say, but this is nothing new, this is what I've always done with my siblings. It's an awareness you're having in the present moment, and that means it's up for you in that moment, and so you can take an action to deal with it differently. You can get a new learning from it. You can be working on it either at a different level or within a different context.
Right. Well, even just having that mind shifter has shifted something already. Because the next time I lie down there, I'm going to say, okay, anything goes. I'm just going to lie here, follow the instructions as best I can, but be peaceful about it, whatever it is. That's just like getting permission to do whatever happens, fail or succeed. It sort of takes failure and success off the table.
Yeah, and that was in the instructions originally. And if you didn't follow those instructions, it just means there's something that's up in your energy system for you to become aware of. So if you go to do this again, and you get yourself ready and you start participating again, and you don't get to stay calm and you don't get to stay open and accepting, then just make notes of whatever the arguments are and use the tools again to dismantle the arguments or the negative self-judgments.
Even as you talk, other ideas are coming to mind about what's going on, like Michael's focus on us. And there were only Tim Bingham, Susan Bingham, and one other person. I guess it's okay. It was Roma all the way from Hawaii. Just the three of us. And I'm thinking, this man is giving us his undivided attention. And Jeannie's right there too, ready to not only give us her attention, but do whatever Michael needs to get information down on the computer and sent out to us or whatever. It's a lot to accept. It's a lot to, I can't think of another word, just accept.
So it seems to you that it's a lot to accept. How? How does it seem to you to be a lot to accept?
The generosity, the giving of themselves to us.
Okay, so there's a part of you that feels like you're not worthy of it?
Well, it gets embarrassing after a while. I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, how could it be embarrassing if you felt worthy of it?
True.
It couldn't feel embarrassing if you felt worthy.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's another little tweak, and you could turn that into another mind shifter. It's safe and healing for me to understand and to live from the realization that I am worthy of every gift that enters my life.
Okay.
I'm worthy of every gift and every blessing that could possibly come into my life.
Yeah.
What was that okay for?
Yeah.
Does that feel not exactly true? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, It feels, I understand it to be true. I also understand that I am being given gifts every moment. Like I'm looking out the window, just my eyes fall on a bright red tree in front of a bright green, yellow, orange combination tree that's getting ready to turn the rest of itself into one color and then drop leaves. I mean, the lessons and miracles have been about that, how everything is a gift to me, and whatever I give anyone else is given to me. And so I have to just remember that Michael's giving to himself. It's just all right to accept all that. And it's actually it's a matter of grace to be able to accept all that and just accept it. I love it when other people accept something I give them, even just a compliment. If they say thank you, that means a lot to me. That's a wonderful thing to say instead of fighting it off with, oh, no, but I did it this wrong and I did that wrong and I do that. I don't like doing that. Okay, my brain's just sort of popping with realizations, Dr. Tim. So anyway.
All right. That's a good thing, especially if you decide to use it to your advantage.
All right, yeah.
Well, congratulations on your willingness to engage the tools and for your brain popping. And I thank you for the calls, helping us fill the hour. And I'll look forward to the next time we get to talk.
Thanks, Dr. Tim, as always.
Right. You're entirely welcome and deserving. Blessings. I will remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Rice.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. I appreciate you and your input and your great teaching.
Well, you're entirely welcome and deserving. Have a lovely show.
Thank you.